a church celebrates the feast day of St Abrahamios. The following are some details on his life and works. Born in Kyros, Syria, during the reign of Emperor Theodosios, when being a Christian was legal, Abrahamios prepared himself for service to the Saviour by becoming a hermit. His eremitic existence interrupted only when he chose to go forth on occasion to preach the word of Christ, and then retired to his isolation. In this way, he had made a lasting impression on those whom he reached. Abrahamios had heard of a hotbed of paganism in a village of Mount Lebanon. After pondering the challenge for a short time, he strode into the village and let himself be heard. At first he was greeted by catcalls and derisive boos, but undeterred he went on preaching ever with refreshing enthusiasm. As the days wore on, the derision and scorn grew less in intensity and the converts increased in number until after a few weeks the entire village had been converted to Christianity. After the erection of a church, he was prevailed upon to remain as spiritual leader of the community. Ever anxious to return to his isolation, he remained for 3 years, and when a suitable priest had been found, he took reluctant leave of the town and its Christian folk he had come to love. But the call of the desert was not to be denied, for it beckoned. Many are the mysteries of the desert, but for Abrahamios there was only a feeling of kinship. But Abrahamios' reputation lingered on, and he could not escape from it. As a result, he was called to serve as Bishop of Caria, a diocese that was beginning to assert itself as a stronghold of Christianity. He ventured into every corner of his diocese. Wherever he found traces of paganism or skepticism, he left abiding faith in Jesus Christ. Known for his piety, he practiced what he preached and was the most respected member of his community, a man who never lost sight of the cross that inspired him. With Christian love at the core of his every action, he virtually eliminated poverty and greed, bringing his Christian flock into an embrace of one another as well as an embrace of Jesus Christ. Emperor Theodosios was so impressed by Abrahamios' commitment that he summoned the bishop to serve in Constantinople and his religious consult and to conduct Sunday services. He was also a close associate of the patriarch who, together with Emperor Theodosios, saw in this resolute bishop that spark of divine that drew so many near to him. As a result of his many successes in the field of conversion, he became the empire's official troubleshooter. He travelled throughout the empire wherever paganism still existed and always left behind Christians who had been taught the folly of their idolatry. The many journeys of Abrahamios had impaired his health, and his earlier days of fasting began to take their toll. But in spite of declining physical condition, his spirit remained as strong as ever, and he continued his services as respected advisor to the court. A call came from one of the more remote regions for aid for Christians who were being assailed by pagans. Despite the warning that his frailty would no longer allow such demanding missions, Abrahamios went to the area in question and, despite his weakness, succeeded in exhorting the pagans to abandon the idols and live in peace as Christians among Christians. This was to prove the last missionary effort for Abrahamios, who returned to Constantinople in triumph, but in physical agony. He lingered for a short time, not once showing any weakness, but finally died. The entire city went into mourning, and Emperor Theodosios himself ordered a state funeral attended by lay and clerical dignitaries from all corners of the empire. According to his last wishes, Abrahamios was laid to rest in Palestine, with mourners lining up at the roadside as his cortege passed through. He is commemorated on the day of his death, 14th of February, 422.